blood and gore. Only watch if you're more than 18. Thank you.
I see blood and gore and imps with guns. I wonder what's in store for 2021. And I think to myself...
Wait, what am I doing thinking? I don't have to think. There's a freaking trailer out right now with clips and voices and whatnot. We could just pick that apart. Let's go.
Goodbye and good riddance.
Oh, praise the Lord and everything above. 2021 is finally here. And I've got my fingers crossed that it's going to be way better than what came before. Not that that's a high bar to jump over. Honestly, if you were a geriatric with 2 broken legs, a full frontal lobotomy, and a bucket over your head, you could probably still make that jump. But let's not focus on the hell we've already experienced, and instead focus on the hell we're going to experience. And I mean that in the best possible way. The rest of Helluva Boss Season 1 is coming, complete with a brand new trailer, including tons of blink and you'll miss it previews. And as your resident expert of picking apart a peck of puny pieces, I'm here to analyze these clips and see exactly what I can determine for the rest of Season 1. As usual, these are just predictions based on what we got and what external material I've dug up from the creators. Of course, there's always a chance that I might have missed some kind of obscure detail on an art live stream or a voice acting podcast or something, because Vivzie and Co like to give away stuff in tons of different places. So, just to be safe, here's a grain of salt to take this all with, a mountain of salt for the people who are mad if I miss something, and the legal papers to sue me for assaulting your ears with my awful jokes. You're welcome. Alrighty, let's see what our favorite hitman imps might get up to in the new year, shall we? First off, let's take all 32 of the clips and organize them into what I assume will be their respective episodes. Starting with something this series has needed since it began, Luna character development. Yeah, ever since the beginning, Luna has always been my least favorite IMP member. There was just nothing about her that seemed intriguing or endearing or even all that funny. She was really bland and one note in her pilot appearance, and in the first 2 episodes, her roles amounted to saving the grimoire from the burning office and...
Fun.
having a one-line off-screen cameo. Even when I ask Luna fans why they like her, they mostly just have 2 reasons. Either she's hot, or her design is cool. That's it. She's hot or she's cool. That's the 2 camps.
Keep it hot, keep it cool.
But to be fair, there are at least small hints that there could be more to her. She does give a little smile when Blitz tries to defend her in the pilot, which is kinda cute. And in one of her canon Instagram posts, she's fine with publicly calling Blitz her dad, showing that she's not completely ashamed of him. Which does mean a lot when you realize who we're talking about here. But to me, the biggest barrel of potential with Luna comes with her species, the Hellhounds. There was a certain ad above Mox and Mill's place in the pilot advertising Hellhound services. Now it's not entirely clear what this entails. I'm guessing it's some kind of dog kennel / servant operation, where you basically adopt a servant dog that'll work for you if you give it food and a place to live. Seems like a straightforward business and a pretty fair deal, but due to certain circumstances, I imagine that these Hellhounds are not exactly treated the best by their owners. I mean, this is a business operating not only in Hell, but in Imp City, the place that houses the lowest of low in Hell society. And the idea of owning a servant is probably the closest to a rich privilege that any of them is ever gonna get. So I imagine that most imps would want to take advantage of this and be as kingly and demanding as possible. Cook my meals, rub my shoulders, fetch my slippers without chewing them up, you mutt. And this leads to Hellhounds as a species being treated mostly like dirt, and a lot of them growing to detest imps as a whole. But Luna is a special case because she was raised by Blitz, and if their interactions are any indication, Blitz treats her incredibly well, like a proper daughter instead of just a servant for hire. And while it is true that Luna goes full-on XD, red and black, Pentagon on my chest, la la la, during most of their interactions, it's obvious from the little hints I mentioned that she does care for him. She just doesn't go all out in showing it as much as Blitz does. But their happy little family changes when this piece of work enters the picture. Some say this giant hellhound is Luna's boyfriend, but I'm pretty much certain that this is her biological father, back to reclaim his daughter. Just from the look of this guy, it's obvious that he's been through a lot, and he is just seething with rage and ready to kill. What exactly brought on this anger? Well, like I said, it's possible that most hellhounds have a hatred towards imps for all the ways they treated them, especially the older ones. And the idea of Luna having an imp that she sees as a father figure would probably be the biggest kick in the nuts this guy could ever experience. So yeah, once the dad finds this out, he's gonna want to squash Blitz into a pile of demon goop. Meaning most of the episode will probably involve Blitz and Luna trying their best to escape from Big Daddy, while Luna shares some stories about her origins and what her relationship to her father was actually like. My best guess is that he was mostly neglectful and didn't really care much about Luna back then, but the second he got loose and discovered that she was adopted by Blitz, he wants her back immediately, just because he doesn't want her to be owned by a piece of imp scum. And this is where Luna can learn the extremely important and always true life lesson. There's a difference between a father and a dad. Anyone can be a father. Anyone can donate their half to a pregnancy and pop out a little one. But being a dad is much more than that. It involves time, patience, attention, care, support, and most of all, love. Raising that child not just out of obligation, but out of a genuine desire to see them grow and develop.
He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy.
And seeing Luna just go off on her wolf dad about how Blitz is the only true dad she's ever had would be a character moment worthy of a standing ovation. And it would probably lead to Luna being a little more open to Blitz about her love towards him, now that she sees what she could have had as a father. No matter what happens though, I just want our favorite furry bait Fleabag to finally give me something that'll really get me invested in her, other than just surface level lust for her design like most people. And speaking of lust, let's check out the episode that easily has the most in-depth and intriguing material in the trailer. Yeah, the Vivziepop team have talked about exploring all 7 circles of hell many times before, so it's only natural that we get a story taking place in the epicenter of Bow Chicka Bow Wow, the Lust Circle. Now obviously a place like this is gonna have some risque stuff on display, which is fine and totally expected, but judging from some of the clips I've seen, this episode is gonna be way more than just a triple X fest. In fact, this has the potential to be an emotional punch on par with Lululand. And if we're lucky, it may even lay the foundation for a brand new relationship. So let's see what we can assemble here. It'll start off with Stolas in a depressed emotional funk like what's shown in this clip, and Octavia wanting to help her dad, or at least get him out of the house for a while, tries to help him out. With all the tragedy still going on in his loveless life, he'll say that he's been missing Blitz more and more, and thinks that the occasional get-togethers and phone calls just aren't cutting it anymore.
He needs his adorable Blitz, his precious imp, his knight in shining armor.
And then Octavia will stop him right there. She'll ask him what exactly he misses about Blitz, and he'll mention very surface level things, like parts of him are very attractive or hot or cute or whatever. Maybe he likes how Blitz treats him like dirt or ignores him, which you don't usually get when you're a powerful rich person. Oh, and he likes horses. And iced coffee. Basically, he doesn't have a deep understanding of Blitz the way a close friend or lover would. So Octavia thinks that the problem isn't about Blitz specifically, it's just that he has a lot of pent-up desires that aren't getting fulfilled at home. Like the things he misses about Blitz are things that plenty of imps could provide for him, if he only paid for it. So she suggests that he take the day off and head down to the Lust Ring, the place where passionate desires are as plentiful as air or water, and every make and model of attractive imp could be found. And Stolas thinks, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So he takes her advice, heads down to the Lust Ring via elevator,
Elevator 666, departing for Lust,
and spends the night at Ozzy's Gentleman's Club, as shown here. He gets his own private room, as someone of his stature would, and he hires some imps who work at the club to look, behave, and treat him exactly the way Blitz would. At first it seems to be working pretty well, but after a while, he starts to feel down again. Something just doesn't feel right. These imps are giving him exactly what he asked for, and yet it's not what he needs. It doesn't satisfy him in the way he thought. And now that he's finally been able to work off all his sexual repression in one night, he's able to think more clearly. He realizes that this isn't just surface level desires and needs that Blitz satisfies. If it was, then any of these imps he paid would have fit the bill. No, this is something different. Something more unique. Maybe it's love? Maybe it's sentimentality? Maybe it's just because he was the first imp who really treated him that way? Maybe he's a little off because of the long night he had? He can't say for sure. But while this is a feeling he can't really describe, it is a feeling he wants to look more into. Maybe instead of just getting to know Blitz's body better, he should get to know Blitz's personality better. Meanwhile, the IMPs are currently not on the job, but instead making their way to Ozzy's club as well for a special mission. Blitz says that killing RoboFizz put him on a major high, and he thinks it's time to take on the real thing. He heard that Fizz is going to be performing at Ozzy's club tonight, so he heads down to the Lust Circle with his favorite guns, plus Moxie and Millie for backup. How they managed to get into such a high-class establishment is still up in the air. They could wear disguises in full security, they could take out some of the company's assets and bribe someone to let them in, they could straight up sneak in so nobody will notice. I don't know, pick your own path. The point is they make it inside. And once they do, Blitz goes on recon to find where Fizz's dressing room is. And he tells Mox and Mill to just keep a low profile and he'll radio if he needs them. In the meantime, just enjoy the show. And if they can, take pictures and send them to him. For work-related reasons. So while Moxie and Millie are chilling in the main theater room, they run into Stolas, who left his private room to get some air. He asks if Blitz is around, and they tell him that he's currently doing some urgent business. They ask if he wants to pass a message along, and he says no, it's better that he say it himself. Just let him know when Blitz is free. And eventually he goes back to his private room again, this time by himself. After most of the show wraps up, they announce that their grand finale, Fizzarolli, isn't quite ready to perform yet. So they're hosting an open mic. You wanna sing? You wanna play? You wanna publicly embarrass yourself? Well, now's the time. And as shown in this clip over here, Moxie eventually gets talked into performing one of his own songs for the crowd, as a tribute to his lovely wife. It's possible that the crowd might boo him off the stage because his songs are all about wholesome love and emotions, while they're expecting a song about how hot his wife is or something, cause, you know, lustering. But I hope that doesn't happen because I really don't want to see anything bad happen to Mox. At least not before this happens, but we'll get to that in a sec. So Blitz goes on his little stealth mission and eventually finds Fizz's dressing room. But instead of being shocked, Fizz completely expected Blitz to show up at some point. He knew Blitz's envy was just too great to be held onto for long. So they get into a little conversation with a lot of back and forth and snarky remarks, and of course Fizz says this line, which puts Blitz a little over the edge.
Does anybody love you? Blizzo.
Eventually, the talking leads to fighting, but after a while, Fizz calls in the big guns, aka this jolly black giant over here. My money says that this is part of the club's security, like a massive bouncer meant to protect Fizz at all costs. Blitz manages to escape from Fizz and his big bouncer buddy, only for the two of them to storm the concert hall looking for him, and interrupting Moxie's performance in the process. Aw, don't worry dude, your private concerts for Millie are always more adorable anyway. So after a bit of fighting where Moxie and Millie try to help out Blitz, and also do a little bit of... yeah, that. It's the lust ring, what are you gonna do? Eventually Blitz gets caught, and Fizz says that he's taking him straight to Asmodeus himself, the mythical prince of lust, and the namesake of the club as well. Ozzy's? Asmodeus? Makes sense to me. Millie quickly runs to Stolas' room to let him know that Blitz is done with his work. Oh, and he's also at the mercy of Asmodeus, so just letting you know. And his Stolas is like, what? As shown here, and he goes to try and help Blitz out. Asmodeus is understandably mad that Blitz attacked one of his best workers, as shown here, and is pretty dead set on killing him right then and there. But Stolas comes in just in the nick of time, and with his high standing in hell, he manages to talk Asmodeus out of pressing any charges, or committing any murders. So he just lets Blitz go, but at the very least he bans him from Ozzy's club for life, and has security toss him in the dumpster for good measure. Put him with the rest of the trash that hell has to offer. And then finally by the end, we get the big emotional punch I talked about before. Stolas goes to help Blitz out of the trash, and Blitz is angry because he missed his one chance at revenge. That one thing that might fulfill him after a lifetime of lovelessness when it came to his career. But he does admit that Stolas did save his skin there, so it's only fair that he give him the obvious reward that he's always after. But Stolas doesn't ask for a night in the bed sheets this time. No, he actually just asks Blitz to walk him home. He agrees to this, and the two of them just have a nice conversation at the end of the episode. They learn more about each other's life stories, maybe they can both relate to not finding love in their lives and comfort each other. It'll just be nice. And if you want to end on a joke or a juxtaposition, have the two of them do this wholesome walk down the street while literally everyone else is doing something scandalous in the background. Kind of mirroring what Stolas' attitude towards Blitz used to be, and also showing how insane the lust ring actually is. Yes, I did just write an entire episode plot based on a few second clips. I really am that insane. And I know that most of this is never gonna happen. Heck, for all I know, this clip doesn't involve Stolas being in a funk. Maybe he just saw something in his cereal that really got him upset.
They added more marshmallows to Lucky Charms again. Soon there won't be any cereal left. How could they change tricks into a bunch of spheres? How will I know which fruits I'm eating now? Cotton Candy Crunch. Just why?
But if it aired later in the season, I do think it would be an interesting way to take Blitz and Stolas' dynamic to the next level, and maybe lead to more genuine moments between the two. Not to mention a chance to introduce some new characters, a new ring, and possibly a new song by Moxie, which is bound to be as adorable as his last one. The only thing that might stand in the way of this idea is Stolas' Instagram pics, which a lot of you guys pointed out to me, alongside all the posts about astronomy facts, plant watering, and... Yup, deleting that from my memory. There seems to be a few intimate moments between the two, and it was said that this is technically canon.
Well...
Yeah, sorry guys, but according to this tweet from the lead background artist of Has-Been and Helluva Boss, the Instagram accounts are just meant to be a fun, goofy time for the artists and nothing more. So all those cute little buddy-buddy moments between Stolas and Blitz, which might hint at an already existing friendship, is fake, is not real, is just for fun, and that's all it was ever meant to be. But this does mean that Stolas and Blitz going through gradual relationship development in canon is still a possibility, and we're just gonna have to see how the writers handle something like that. However, I feel like there's still a possibility for some elements from these accounts to make an appearance in the series proper. I mean, Octavia was teased on Stolas' account way before she was actually revealed in Lululand. And call me crazy, as many people have, but I think there might be a chance for another character in these accounts to show their face in an upcoming episode. And that episode would take place in a ring much lower than the home of pervs and peeping toms. I'm talking about the violent and merciless Ring of Wrath. This is yet another episode that's guaranteed to happen, thanks to a lovely bunch of animatic sneak peeks that have been floating around. The last one involves Stolas in bed with Blitz talking about something called the Harvest Moon Festival, which takes place in the Ring of Wrath, and Blitz actually mentions that his employees are from there, which would definitely explain why killing is like second nature to them. Now, a lot of you might be thinking that the Wrath Ring episode doesn't even appear in this trailer, and I'd have to give that a big eh. As you can see, there are multiple clips in this trailer that seem to take place in a Wild Western type setting, with decor like skulls and cacti and wagon wheels. We even see Blitz and Luna wearing some clearly Western inspired outfits in these same clips. And this is what I think the Wrath Ring is going to look like. I mean, wrath as a sin involves immense, incredible anger, usually followed by violent outbursts.
And having the Wrath Ring take on the aesthetic of the old lawless West, where anybody could pull a gun on you at any time, or the harsh, relentless environment could do you in at any minute, would be so fitting.
So what? I'm funny now? I'm a funny guy just because I'm dressed like a clown? I suppose you think I shouldn't have a gun either!
But if this is the Wrath Ring and the story does take place during the Harvest Moon Festival, then what kind of story can we expect? Well, I have no clue. These clips are definitely the most vague of the bunch. All we see is Moxie fighting some kind of ranch hand demon and almost getting stomped on while Blitz and Luna watch him, and then some scene of Blitz in a house getting really mad and pulling a gun on someone. I can't really form anything super solid out of just that, so I'm gonna take a wild guess and just say that this episode is gonna involve Blitz's precious, horrifying hell horse, Spindle. Yup, Blitz has a horse. Or he had a horse. Apparently it owed a debt to him after he bought it an iced coffee, so in return, it actually saved his life. But then it had to leave him for parts unknown. So they said their fond farewells and took one final picture together. Now again, I know the Instagram accounts are not canon. In fact, the character Spindle the Horse is just a pun based on their production company's name, Spindle Horse. But I can't shake the fact that Spindle might be an Octavia case, where they get introduced into the series after they were hinted at in the Instagram. And if that is gonna happen, I think I've got a story that would fit her like a glove. The episode would start with that animatic clip I talked about where Stolas invites the IMPs to come to the festival for one hell of a hootenanny, and they agree. So the Devils go down to Georgia, Wrath Ring, and we get a bunch of festival shenanigans and opportunities for jokes and character moments. One of which includes Moxie scuffling boots with this guy over here. We don't see a face or even much of a body, but part of me thinks that this might be Moxie's dad. I remember that in the pilot he dreamed about murdering his parents and enjoyed it, so I imagine that his relationship with them isn't exactly a good one. So when they finally meet up again, maybe Moxie's dad actually challenges him to a fight. Like, I'm tired of you singing your wimpy songs and being a pushover, we gotta toughen you up, boy! And then they end up having a fight that the other IMPs watch. I don't have any major requests here. Though if Millie did enter the fray at any point and completely kicked his butt on her hubby's behalf, that would be pretty cool. As for these two clips of Blitz with a gun, he definitely found someone that made him really angry. Very fitting for the Wrath Ring. And if we consider that this is a Wild Western type location, and there's also a picture of a demon horse in this guy's house, I'm gonna guess that Blitz found some kind of ranch hand that buys and abuses horses just for the fun of it. And one of the horses he has in his stable is Spindle. Now, Blitz absolutely adores horses, and anyone who treats them badly is immediately someone that's gonna go on his hate list. But if someone goes so far as to capture his horse, the one that saved his life a while back and he hasn't seen in forever, that would definitely be something that would send him over the edge. But in the end, does he do it? Does he kill the horse-herding heathen? In my version, no, he doesn't. Remember earlier when I talked about Moxie's dad? Well, what if Moxie comes in right before Blitz pulls the trigger and actually talks him out of it? What if he tells Blitz that killing this guy would actually be more of a mercy than a revenge? I mean, this guy literally just torments horses for a living. The only pleasure he has in his life is to take out his anger on something weaker and more vulnerable than him. Meaning once you take away that something, his life will have zero meaning and he's gonna have to deal with that.
In case you couldn't tell, it's a clever parallel to Moxie and his father's relationship. I just wanted to let you know that's really clever, okay? Just wanted to let you know it's clever, okay? Goodbye.
So Blitz and Moxie set the horses free and leave the pathetic ranch hand to live out the rest of his pathetic life. So yeah, not much to go on here, but it would be cool to see Blitz and Moxie have a bit of a moment here. And just like in the Lust Ring episode, it would show that demons are not always slaves to the sin of the ring they're in. The Lust Ring involves Stolas and Blitz starting a wholesome friendship, and the Wrath Ring involves Blitz coming to a calm and calculated decision instead of raging out. Plus, we'd get to see Spindle in the series for the first time, and Blitz would actually save her just like how she saved him once.
Spindle will protect. Spindle will live on. And when the time is right, Spindle will show herself to us and prove her worth after spending so long in the shadows. I guess you could say that her and I have that in common. That's right. I bet a lot of you thought you'd never see me again. Well, that's where you're wrong. The show may be over, but I've always been here, watching over you. And I too will know when my time to return is at hand. All I need is some kind of sign from above. Get it off, get it off, get it off, get it off!
He'll be back. No, seriously, he will. But for now, let's talk about something less hellish and more heavenly. An episode about cherubs. Yeah, if you didn't think IMP had enough competition in the hell murder market, there's now a business in heaven that directly contradicts exactly what IMP is trying to do. They're known as CHERUB, and instead of killing people that wronged you while you were alive and raking in the dough, these guys save people that you want to keep alive and don't ask for a cent in return. They also consist of 3 members, 2 male and 1 female, and even wrote a suspiciously similar sounding jingle.
When you want somebody gone and you don't want to wait too long, call the immediate murder professionals. Hand grenade or cyanide will make it look like suicide. The immediate murder professionals. Luckily for you, there's something we can do. We can help keep them alive so you can watch them thrive. Cause here at CHERUB, we'll save your honey bun from dying violently.
Oh man, they don't show Blitz after he shoots the TV, but I'll bet he's got at least 9 popped veins in his face, eyes burning with rage, and he's currently learning a new language full of curse words, screams, and vomit. So yeah, I think it's obvious that Blitz is gonna try to sabotage that business as best he can. And based on a few select clips in here, I bet he's gonna bring Moxie along as well. Yup, this might be a Moxie and Blitz team-up episode, which is something I was hoping for. Blitz always seems to be on Moxie's case and kinda treated him like trash in the first few episodes, so having the two of them travel to heaven, bag a competitor, make some lamb chops, and hopefully gain a newfound respect for each other would be pretty cool to see. As for what the story will be like, again, it's really hard to say for sure. There are 4 clips that I suspect will be from this type of episode. We've got Moxie and Blitz tied up in some kind of interrogation room, Blitz pinning down Moxie in an alleyway somewhere, Blitz going from starry-eyed to extremely shocked, and Blitz angrily pinning up against a window of what seems to be a recording studio of some sort. My guess is that this building that they're in is actually the Cherub headquarters, and it would make sense because Cherub is supposed to be everything that IMP is not. It's pristine and organized instead of run down, there's this yellow glowing kind of color between the floor tiles, and if they do go to Cherub HQ, there would be plenty of opportunities for Blitz to have hilarious reactions to how the place is run. In fact, there's one joke they're hinting at here which basically writes itself. When Blitz presses his face against the glass here, I want to bet that they're recording a commercial jingle in that studio, and it's the same guys that Blitz got to record his jingle. I mean, listen to both jingles again. It sounds like it's being sung by the exact same guys. How funny would that be? And then what you'd expect to happen does happen. They get caught by Cherub, they probably call those Hellslayer angels to capture them, they bring them in for interrogation like what's shown here, and maybe the angels actually follow them all the way back to the Pride Ring. I mean, this bit in the alley has a white portal in the background, which could imply that this is a portal to heaven that the angels came through. But again, it's extremely vague. This will more than likely be a comedy-focused episode, which is good, we definitely need those. But it would be nice to see Blitz and Moxie getting even closer as they go on a little escapade together. Not to mention actually seeing heaven for the first time. If these are going to be what the denizens of the overworld are going to look like, I might die of a cuteness heart attack. I'm going to have an AED and a penicillin shot on standby when I watch this episode. I mean, just look at this guy, just look at him!
You don't love me!
And last but not least, we've got some kind of spring break / beach episode. This one is just spelled out for us because there's actually a clip of Blitz slapping a flyer onto a phone pole for a spring break 50% off sale. And if you think he's talking only about prices, then you obviously don't know how Blitz thinks. I guarantee that this special offer involves killing victims by cutting them in half. A literal 50% off.
Funny, right? Huh? See with the... These are the jokes, kid.
There's even a segment of Blitz slicing some person in half, which I won't show you because I love my monetization, but that just further supports what I think they're gonna do here. Also, you gotta love all the little ponies that Blitz just drew all over the poster for no reason. As for who their key target is gonna be, my guess is this pop star girl that seems to be human. She says a line about making some bad choices, and with most spring breakers being 30 drinks in by sundown, that's certainly bound to happen at some point. So it's not impossible to assume that this clip is from the spring break episode. And this would be an interesting challenge for IMP, having to kill a high-profile target during a major public event without attracting too much attention. Like a little less Sniper Elite and a little more Hitman, if you know what I mean. But then you also have these two clips, both of which clearly take place on a beach. There's one of a gigantic serpent thing emerging behind Moxie and Millie, and one of Millie throwing a Molotov cocktail made out of Santa's peppermint vodka. With the whole beach motif going on, this serpent guy is likely going to be in the spring break episode as well. So how exactly is this going to work? Well, maybe the serpent guy is some kind of demon that snuck through a grimoire portal that Blitz accidentally left open. Like maybe he was in a rush, maybe this is the last day of spring break, maybe he has to get this killed by the end of the day or it's free, so now the IMPs need to kill this high-profile target while also needing to keep this serpent demon out of sight so that it doesn't scare everybody off and ruin the kill anyway, making for double the tension. I also noticed that Moxie tends to have a very love-struck / drunk face on in a lot of these previews, including a recent one that was shown on Twitter. And this is telling me one of two things. Either Moxie gets swept up in spring break fever and tries to have a nice beach day with Millie while she takes the job more seriously, or maybe this serpent thing is such a hard opponent to kill that Millie purposefully got Moxie drunk so that he wouldn't notice her inability to kill this thing. Remember that Moxie first fell in love with Millie because of her proficiency for killing, at least if O'Millie is anything to go by. And maybe she'd think that if there's a target she can't take out, then Moxie might leave her for someone more ruthless and merciless. But in the end, Moxie would of course reassure her that while his attraction started that way, he grew to love so many more things about her over the years, and he loves her no matter what. It would be nice because Millie hasn't been the focus of an episode yet. Or maybe it goes even deeper than that. Maybe this serpent is an illusion that's completely in Millie's mind. Maybe she herself got blackout drunk, and this monster is simply a metaphorical construct of her fears of inadequacy, constantly picking away at her self-confidence and plaguing her mind with fears that Moxie could never love someone who couldn't kill a simple sea worm. And then she'd have to snap back to her senses and realize that it's not real. None of this is real. Maybe the characters will become self-aware and realize that the entire show itself isn't real. Maybe that's what the VM on those doors stand for. It stands for Vivian Madrano. That's not the Cherub headquarters. That's actually Stable Horse Productions itself. And Blitz is looking in at Brandon Rogers in the recording studio doing his voice acting. The entire show is about to devolve into the planned Angry Beavers finale where they know they're in a cartoon and slowly start to wither away. That's why they got Richard Stephen Horvitz, who was the original voice of Daggett. The entire show is just an excuse to give us the Angry Beavers finale that we never got. This entire show is a front, a revenge story, a self-fulfilling prophecy that we never saw until now! Alright, I'll take my meds. I doubt anybody's even watching after that anyway. So yeah, once again, none of this is confirmed or even likely to happen, but you know me. You give me 2 pieces of wood and 3 nails and somehow I'll find a way to build a house out of just that. It's just fun to write stories sometimes, especially for characters I really enjoy. Either way though, I want to thank the hundreds of people that popped in and subbed to the channel because of my last 2 Helluva Boss videos. It's a pleasure to have you guys on board, and I hope you guys will stick around for my continued thoughts on Hell's Favorite Revenge Trio, as well as other animated stuffs as well. If you've got your own predictions, the comments are always open, so go for it. The things you guys come up with are always really fun to read. Thanks a bunch for watching everybody, and I hope to see you all real soon.